Well, it's Oklahoma, but I'm in the right Oklahoma now.
There you go.
Michael Rivera would tell me, right?
Yep. It's our building.
Great to be here at UCO. My first trip here. I like everything. I like the colors. I like the scheme. I like the locker room. I like everything.
It's a good setup, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's no doubt that you guys are champions. But I have a question right off the get-go. Have you recovered from the national tournament?
It's a good question to start with. Recovered, I think, it's an interesting word. It's something that I would say, after taking that loss, it really fuels a fire. I don't think that's something that you ever recover from. It's something that kind of drives you to try to, do what you have to do to get the job done.
I hear you. Have your guys recovered from multiple overtimes?
I think their legs are back, but I'm doing what I can through this training camp to make sure they lose them again. So.
Right. I love it. Let's start with the WCHL. You guys win the championship, but the competition has probably never been better.
Agreed.
And it just seems like it keeps getting better. I mean, we just watched Oklahoma coming back a little bit now. They seem to be a better program, and the deeper it gets. Do you like that? You like that competition to be that deep?
I love it. Like I tell everybody, the WCHL is the SEC of the ACHA, right?
Yeah.
Biased, but I think it's the best conference. It's extremely competitive. You look at the talent in our league. You look at what some of these teams are doing from a recruiting perspective over the summer. You're sitting there watching everybody just get better and better. And going into the season, I mean, you could say that somebody's the favorite, but really, I think the conference title's up for grabs. It's whoever can get hot at the right time. And you talk about also one of the interesting things about our conference is all the travel that goes into it, right?
Right.
A lot of conferences don't have to deal with, you got to get on a bus to Utah, you drive 20 hours, you got to hop off the bus and play a hockey game, right?
Right.
It's not the easiest thing to do. I don't think there's an easy night in the WCHL, so it's great.
So, in addition to your conference, though, it seems like teams are starting to move out of the conference for those computer rankings. We watch what Arizona's going to play Dearborn and Adrian, and Liberty's making the trip to UNLV. I mean, it's like, is that something you're concerned with, or are you concerned more with what we do in the conference?
I think you have to try to get the biggest strength of schedule that you can.
Yeah.
As I go through the scheduling process, I try to put together the most competitive schedule we can. That's within our budget.
Right.
I want to play outside of the WCHL. I want to play top 10, top 15 teams as much as possible. So we have, this year we're going to Minot, right? Making that trip up north in the middle of December. We want to put our guys through the ringer, and I think those big weekends against top teams is what really prepares you for the national tournament.
Coaches have told me now that it used to be taboo to have to play 3 games in 3 nights, and now a lot of people are trying to schedule those because they realize what you guys went through in the national tournament, right?
Yep.
Is that a good preparation, or is it like, you know what, we'll keep our legs and we'll just give it our best shot when we get to the national tournament? Can you prepare for it, I should say, because you've lived it?
I think you could prepare for it. I think that putting together the toughest schedule you can, I think playing 3-3 is a great way to prepare for it. That's old school WCHL, right?
Yeah.
That's what we used to do for every conference weekend.
Yes, you did.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I think it's a great way to prepare. I mean, you really put your guys up against it, right? You really see, when you talk about, getting through the national tournament, the teams that really succeed are the teams that have depth. And you can really put your depth to the test by playing 3-3.
Right.
Because you're going to have injuries. Someone's going to get banged up. Somebody's not going to play well, right? So do you have that next guy who can step in and kind of fill the role and get through a weekend and really survive? And especially one of the best tests you can have is 3-3 on the road, right?
Right.
Like that's the test.
It doesn't get any tougher than that.
No.
Okay, so I want to move on from last year's tournament, but I got to ask you what that was like. Have you ever been in that situation before where you've had multiple overtimes, one after another, one after another?
I can't say that I have. It was in a couple double overtimes through junior hockey as a player, but never as a coach have I been through that kind of situation. So it was a new experience. It was wild. I mean, it was a wild ride. It really put us to the test. It really, like the whole time your back's against the wall, right? You're on the edge. So it was a great experience. I think that it prepared our guys to take on anything.
Yeah, I hear you. So fast forward to this year. You've gotten through your camp. Now you're getting ready for the first games. How is everything? Everybody happy? Everybody comfortable? Everybody healthy?
Everybody's healthy right now. It's early in the season, so I think it's easy to be healthy. I wouldn't say that everybody's happy. I think that our guys have some unfinished business. I think they got something to prove this season. I think you lose the last game of the season, you got to sit with that all summer. And only one team wins the last game of the season, right? So we're not the only ones sitting in that, in that situation. But I think going all the way and feeling that burn. And, one of the things that I wanted the guys to do was, as Lindenwood raised the national championship trophy, like, let's stand there and let's watch that and let's show them respect and let's, remember this feeling and make sure that that doesn't happen to us again.
Yeah, good advice. So when we look at, let me step back. Give me a thumbnail of UCO, because this is my first trip here, and I've seen it. I've seen the building. Now you have another tenant, I guess, and we say that admirably. Really, we're not driving on you Sooners, but this is your home. Give everybody a thumbnail, but people know about UCO out west, but they don't know about UCO because I didn't know until I walked in here.
It's a little gem in the middle of Oklahoma City, right? I mean, I think people have this interpretation of what Oklahoma is. You think it's this farmland and it's, in the middle of nowhere. And don't get me wrong, there's parts of the state that have that. But then you get into Oklahoma City and really it's this nice metropolis with all these different things to do. And guys get here and they're like, this is incredible. This setup that we have.
Right.
You walk in here and honestly, I think that most people would say our building feels like an NCAA building.
Yeah.
The facilities that these guys have access to, the way we treat them, we try to keep it as professional as possible. And then, I hope you can get out here for a home game because our crowd gets pretty rowdy and that short glass and the fans hanging over it gets pretty crazy.
I've heard stories.
It's a tough building to play in, that's for sure.
Okay, so when you look at ACHA D1 hockey, and you were at the pinnacle, you were as close as you get without carrying that trophy home. How good has it gotten? I mean, you've played this level. You've played at the junior level. My personal thoughts, Michael, is that this league has gotten incredibly good over the last 6-7 years.
I couldn't agree more. Personally, I believe that if you put the top 10 teams in ACHA Division I and you threw them in the mix with NCAA Division III, I think that they're falling somewhere in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
You look at the kids that are signing the junior leagues that they played in. You have kids coming from, the USHL, the North American League, Junior A leagues in Canada, and then some high-end Tier 3 players as well. And you see all these kids signing, and these are the same kids that NCAA Division III schools are competing with.
Right.
And so, for some of these kids, it may just be a better situation whether, these schools have a good program for their selected major, or maybe they want a bigger school experience. And that's why some of these kids are finding out that this is a viable route for them to continue playing hockey and that it's extremely competitive. So I think the league is getting better every single year. I mean, during the summer, you see all these commitments and you see these, NCAA Division I transfers and these kids coming out of, these high-end junior leagues. And, it's crazy how far this league's come, and I think people are really starting to take notice.
Okay, so this one's kind of a two-parter. The talent that's come in during the pandemic, we saw what happened, right? And I use this a lot because I thought I saw hockey players and interviewed hockey players that really felt like they might lose their livelihood. They really felt like this. I think first they thought this isn't happening. Then they came to reality, and then they came to the next point that said, oh boy, this did happen. Our seasons were canceled, and now they have a better appreciation for it, which I think day in and day out, this is what I see from the outside anyway, day in and day out, they appreciate the game more, and they give it more effort. Are you seeing that as a coach, or is it just, it's starting to wear off now?
I think so. I think it's something that prior to the pandemic, it could almost be something that was taken for granted, right?
Yeah.
It was just a part of life.
Yep.
And when it's taken away and people were, forced to be in their homes and the game was taken out of their lives, I think people started to realize how much hockey was ingrained in their lifestyle and the community that it brought together, right? These weird dysfunctional families almost from these organizations that you see. And that sense of community, it's so important for so many people, and it's a home away from home I think that family is not necessarily just blood, right?
Right.
It's based off of, how people treat each other. And I think you come into these rinks and you feel this atmosphere and you feel this community, and it's a sense of belonging. And I think people didn't realize how ingrained it was in their lives, and they missed it when it was gone. And, I had people who couldn't wait to get back to UCO hockey after being gone for a year. And so it's I think it's a lifestyle. It really is.
Okay, so I want to ask you about this, and we'll kind of start to wrap things up on this note. But I watched Denver University a lot last year, University of Denver, I should say. And one thing I noticed from them was cohesiveness from the very start. They had talent, don't get me wrong. They still have a lot of talent. But I saw cohesiveness in September when they got on the ice for the first time. What was interesting, though, was they win the national championship at the NCAA level. And I interview players during the summer, and I go, like, you guys have been everywhere, right? I mean, they were, like, treated like kings around Denver. So I said, what was the best part? And I was thinking, like, they were going to go, well, the Avalanche had us in a suite or whatever. You know what they told me about, almost to a man, and I think I had 3 or 4 guys that I interviewed. They all told me that it was winning a championship with their teammates that made it special. And I'm going, that's interesting, and it's cool, and it's kind of old school. So I want to ask you, you've got so much talent. What's the key in your mind to put it all together and make it cohesive so that you can take that talent and turn it into a championship team like you nearly did last season?
Culture before strategy. That's number one. It's everything we do is rooted in our culture. You have to have this base. You have to have essentially our culture is, what we celebrate and then what we tolerate, right?
Okay.
That's how we define it here. We have core values within our organization that we live by. All the guys are expected to memorize them. They're the pillars of our organization.
Nice.
And these things we hold very tight, and the guys know that it's something that you have to do every single day. One of the things we talk about is starting again. So you don't arrive at a good culture. It doesn't you don't just say, okay, we got here, it's over, right?
Yep.
It's something that you have to start again every single day, and you have to live it. And I think that when you develop this culture, it creates the cohesiveness that you discussed. It creates this family atmosphere, and that kind of environment. It's it runs through the blood, and it creates this bond that's almost unbreakable. And if you're gonna win a championship, you have to have those deep bonds. You have to have teammates that believe in each other. You have to have a family atmosphere, and it's all rooted in culture. And that's something that we focus heavily on before we ever get started on. This is the forecheck we're going to run. This is how we defend the rush. It's all about this is what it takes to be a Bronco, and ultimately it's all rooted in the character, the collective character of the group. And the way we talk about it is better people make better Broncos, and better Broncos make better champions. So
yeah, good, well said. Now what's been so interesting to me is to see how everybody approaches it, and I get different things. It all leads to the same answer, but I get different feelings for it, so it's really cool to know that. Okay, I'm going to end it on this. I went to the National Junior Evaluation Camp because I thought that was going to be the best 60 players I've ever seen in the United States under 20 years old, and I believe it was. I had a day off, and I thought, I'm going to go down and find out what Adrian's all about, because you know Adrian.
Oh, yeah.
You know how good they are. So I went down there, and I found out that when I pulled into the community of Adrian, I was going like, really? This can't be what this can't be where I'm going. And I don't mean to be derogatory, but I come in, and it's 2,200 people on the campus, and they take me to this rink, and their captain gives me a walk around of it. And it's so clean in this building that you could eat off the floor. And then I look at all their different locker rooms, and they're all set up, and they're all Adrian Bulldogs, but there's 7 different hockey teams, college hockey teams there, men and women. And they're separated by just slight changes in the logo. And then I find out that there's 4 figure skating groups as well, competitive figure skating groups.
Okay.
And it's from 6 a.m. until midnight when school's on that building is being used. My point that I'm getting at is, and it's similar to what you guys have, especially now with OU coming in here, but I talked to Gary Estalis, and I said, I'm going to call this feature, if there's a will, there's a way. Because how in the world do you put 7 hockey teams, college hockey teams, in one building and add 4 figure skating groups And he said, well, that's just it. He goes, we structure it out the way it's going to be, and everybody falls in place, and that's how they built their championship culture. And I'm here looking at your building, I'm going like, how are you guys going to do this with this mix? But you have a plan, don't you?
You have to. You have to have a plan, and ultimately, it's about the hockey community. It's about growing college hockey.
Yeah.
I think that we'd be remiss to not acknowledge OU as a huge piece of our college hockey community and our hockey community in general.
Right.
The rivalry is so important to have that. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's crucial. And so they fell on tough times with the situation down south at that rink, and they were looking for a home.
Yeah.
And them being around is important to the conference. It's important to the ACHA, and most importantly, it's important to our hockey community here.
Yep.
And so to find a way to work with them, it was a no-brainer. And we're here to support them and make sure that they can function in our building. And just similar to the Adrian situation, these are the times we play, these are the times you play, this is how we're going to structure it, and there's no reason we all can't get along. I think so many people in the hockey community think that it's a zero-sum game. There's always got to be somebody at the top.
You're right.
And that's not the case. It's infinite,
Yeah.
right? If you can grow the hockey community, there's enough to go around for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about here. There's no reason that it has to be one person on top of the hill and no room for anybody else.
Well said. I have to leave it on this note, though. I went down and saw your old stomping ground last Friday in El Paso, and the first thing I noticed was a big mural with you on the wall, and I said, now I know where the culture comes from, because if there's a will, there's a way. It's El Paso, right? I mean,
That's right.
Boy, they formed it. You lived it. How proud are you to say that you were a Rhino at one time? You're still a Rhino, aren't you?
R4L, you're a Rhino for life. It's El Paso holds such a deep place in my heart. I mean, that program, it's just ingrained in me. I've only played for 2 programs.
Right.
I've only been a part of 2 hockey programs in my entire life. It's been the El Paso Rhinos and then the University of Central Oklahoma. So I played there from the time I was a kid all the way through junior hockey. I went from mopping the stands there to being the captain of the junior team. So I saw that program all the way through, and where it's come up to this point, it's completely incredible. And where all that success comes from the culture.
Yeah.
That's where I learned culture. That's where I learned accountability and the right way to do things, and how to operate a hockey team. And so taking those lessons and bringing them here, and then obviously what I learned from Coach McAllister as well, and kind of taking that blend together and putting my own spin on it. But El Paso, I mean, that's that's home. That's always going to be home. I get back when I can, and that place means the world to me.
Well said. It's great being here. I promise I'll be back multiple times.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah, I know you are. It's great to be around champions, and it's great to be around gracious champions. And I definitely call UCO gracious champions, because you win the conference and you win it with class, right? Like you just told us, you finish the NCAA or the ACHA tournament, and you finish it with class. I can't imagine the gut-wrenching feeling it must have been, and to watch you guys come through it, and I know it's only going to make you better. So best of luck this year. We'll be around to have some more Game of the Weeks here with Go CHOS.
I love it. Roll CHOS.